In a case that has sparked both curiosity and controversy, the man accused of hurling a sub-style sandwich at a law enforcement officer in Washington, D.C. has faced legal consequences, but not in the way one might initially expect. The core issue revolves around whether this act should be classified as a serious felony or a lesser offense, and the latest developments reveal an intriguing twist in the case. But here's where it gets controversial. A grand jury decided against indicting him for a felony, which is a more severe charge, leading prosecutors to refile the case at a reduced level. To understand the situation fully, let's unpack what happened step by step. The man in question, Sean Charles Dunn, was accused of throwing a sandwich, specifically of the subtype, at a Customs and Border Protection officer during early August. Allegedly, he was shouting and cursing at these officers, calling them fascists, which perhaps added a layer of provocation or excitement to the incident. Initially, the Justice Department indicated they intended to pursue a felony assault charge, which could have carried a maximum sentence of up to 8 years in prison. However, after the grand jury did not return an indictment for a felony, federal prosecutors took a different route. On Thursday, they filed a charge against Dunn for a lesser misdemeanor offense, substantially lowering the potential maximum penalty to just 1 year behind bars. What's particularly noteworthy is the procedural shift that enabled this. Instead of proceeding with a traditional complaint, prosecutors used a method called information, which allows them to bypass getting a grand jury's approval before moving forward with the case. This change can sometimes make it easier to bring charges more swiftly, but it also sparks debate about transparency and the rights of the accused. Adding some additional context, Dunn's case has garnered attention because he is a former Justice Department lawyer who was dismissed immediately after his arrest. The timeline of his arrest is notable. He was detained right after the sandwich incident in early August, but was released the following morning. His attorney indicated that Dunn had tried to get legal representation and attempted to surrender himself upon learning of a warrant for his arrest. The most striking part of the story is how law enforcement handled the arrest. Contrary to what some might expect from a routine situation, law enforcement showed up at Dunn's apartment with guns drawn and a riot shield, in a display some have seen as over the top. This aggressive approach was later highlighted by the White House in a promotional video showing law enforcement surrounding and arresting him. At the time of his arrest, the judge overseeing the case released Dunn, citing that he did not pose a threat to the community. An important detail that adds a layer of complexity to the narrative. Meanwhile, the public and media continue to discuss whether the response and charges are proportionate to the act of throwing a sandwich, and whether the legal process is being used fairly. This case raises compelling questions. Are such minor acts deserving of harsh criminal penalties? Should law enforcement's response be so aggressive for what many might see as a petty clash? And what does it say about our legal system that charges can shift so easily depending on jury decisions? What's your take? Do you think this case highlights a broader issue of overreach? Or is it a justified stance on law and order? Drop your thoughts in the comments. These stories always invite passionate debate.